Welcome back to another episode right here on Superior Disciple. I'm just going to kind of jump right into it because we got some big stuff planned for you today. What we're going to talk about today is actually not that hot of a topic, but it's necessary. So we're going to talk about the 7 deadly sins. So I'm going to kind of go through all of them, and we're going to look at different definitions of each one and then maybe go through some examples here. So a little something on the seven deadly sins. This is a book. Well, I don't mean to give it away, but this book is ultimately about the 7 deadly sins. Kind of just tells you that at the end. The 7 deadly sins are labeled that because they're the most prevalent in society. They're the most easy to commit. So we really need to be aware of these, the 7 deadly sins. So the first one we got here is pride. And so I'm going to go through what each one is and then say the definition according to the dictionary and then give a little example. Pride. The dictionary says having or displaying excessive self-esteem. So related words to pride are, as according to the dictionary, are conceit and disdain. A lot of the times I think we see pride when you have an insecurity within yourself that you want to cover up so that nobody else sees it. So you find something that gives you pride or that you're good at and you push it to the forefront of yourself to cover up that insecurity. So we could see an example of pride in a dating relationship. So say you're always interrupting your significant other and they point out to you, hey, you're always interrupting me. Is this something you can work on? And you just deny it because you're so proud that you can't even admit to your own faults. So the next one we got here is envy. Envy is defined by Merriam-Webster Dictionary is painful or resentful awareness of an advantage enjoyed by another, joined with a desire to possess the same advantage. And related words to this are malice and begrudge. So a good example of this is you're a lumberjack. You're out in the woods and you see Paul Bunyan and he's got this awesome axe and you're like, wow, that's sick. And you're like, wow, well, all I have is this crusty splitting maul. And so oftentimes with envy, you see that, oh, because I can't have that, he shouldn't have that either. So you go axe his axe, all because you couldn't have it. So next on the list, we've got gluttony. Defined by Merriam-Webster Dictionary, this is the excess in eating or drinking. And related words are greed. So gluttony is a little hard to define just because it varies by the person. Just don't be a pig and don't eat your fill, but don't overeat. Okay? That's not healthy. Next on here is a very common one and one that I'm probably guilty of daily, and that is anger. So as defined by the dictionary, a strong feeling of displeasure and usually antagonism, so like hostilely reacting to what's ever opposing you. So related words, yeah, so I'll just go over that again because that was kind of weird. A strong feeling of displeasure and usually antagonism. And related words are, well, antagonism and rage. An example of this one would be you're driving along, you're in your car, and someone's having a bad day and they cut out in front of you and they're not really realizing it, but you're in your vehicle and you're so mad and they're putting along in front of you. You just roar right past them, give them the finger and keep on ripping past them. Anger is probably one of the easier ones to fall into just because like when you're caught up in the moment, you don't really realize it, and then after the fact you're like, shoot, I feel kind of bad about it and I probably shouldn't have reacted that way. So next we've got greed, and as defined by the dictionary, it's a selfish and excessive desire for more of something than is needed. This one is so easy to define because I can think of an example right off the top of my head. So my house or roommate, whatever you want to call him, he always brings home these what the heck are they called? They're not Pop-Tarts, they're toaster strudels. Toaster strudels. He brings home these toaster strudels, and guys, if you haven't had a toaster strudel, they're excellent. And so anyway, he brings home these toaster strudels. Right away, I just grab a box and put all 6 of them in the toaster. And that's greed, guys. And that puts a strain on our friendship too, because then he's like, guy, why'd you eat all my toaster strudels? So it's just it's just best to shy away from the greed. The best way to do that is just practice discipline and self-control, like in all seriousness. Just do little exercises just to practice discipline. Like, you really want another toaster strudel, but you deny yourself that extra toaster strudel just because it's good for you. So next up here we've got sloth, defined by the dictionary as the reluctance to work or make an effort. Related words to this are laziness or idleness. Now, everybody has a day where they're just like not feeling it, you know what I mean? And your brain's just not working. I had one of those yesterday, and that's understandable. But so what it's talking about is your lack of willingness to get up and off the couch and try your best. You know, just do your best. Whatever you do in your homework, yeah, you got your job, just in life, just always give it your 100%. And at the end of the day, when you go to bed, you're shot, you're dead tired, but you're like, wow, I really gave today my best. Seventh deadly sin is lust, which is defined as an intense or uncontrolled sexual desire. Related words include craving. And I think that we live in a society today where lust is seen as okay, and you can cater to your sexual desires whenever you want. We especially see this with the porn industry, like on the phones and all of that. This is the biggest platform for pornography today is cell phones. And that's something that you really got to be aware of. So you guys have heard of that Bible verse, if your right hand causes you to sin, hack it off. If your eye causes you to sin, just gouge it out. Well, I'm thinking, the 2018 version of this is, if your phone causes you to sin, blow it up. One of my buddies works at Dunham Sports, and so I went into Dunham's and I got gunpowder, dangerous, extremely flammable. So I go in there and he's like, and I'm like, hey, do you have any black powder? And he goes, yeah, do you want pellets or loose? And I just kind of looked at him and I was like, what are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. He goes, are you going to do something stupid or are you going to shoot it out of a gun? I was like, gunpowder? You think I'm going to shoot that out of a gun? Of course I'm going to do something stupid. And so he's like, oh, okay, well then I can recommend this one for you. I'm like, oh, great. Glad you know me so well. So we've got the gunpowder, okay? And here we've got, give or take a couple, maybe a gallon and a half of thermite there. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's just like a quarter-size piece. When you mix the correct thermite, can burn through an entire engine block. So yeah, we're gonna throw some of that stuff on there and hopefully destroy this phone. I'm not really advocating going out and blowing up your cell phone, because that's not what this is about. This is a metaphor. Pornography really is the main issue with lust here. There are other issues, but a big issue within lust is pornography, and I'm trying to make a statement here. Like, we gotta kill that. I've mentioned that pornography is probably the biggest issue within the whole lust issue, and I never really mentioned a way to overcome it. I think probably the best way to overcome that is to get yourself a group of young men or young women, just to hold each other accountable, to be able to text them and say, hey, I messed up, I could use some prayers right now. That probably will be the most effective way to overcome that addiction. Another way too, guys, is people don't realize a lot of the times that pornography is not just on the Playboy or anything like that, but it's everywhere. I deleted Snapchat, I deleted Instagram, just because I didn't want to put myself at risk of that anymore. It's everywhere, guys. You just got to be aware of it. You understand, I'm not sticking around to watch the spectacle. I'm running for the high hills after I light this thing up, so I'll let the camera capture that. So there you have it, kind of a little crash course on the 7 deadly sins and just what to keep an eye out for. As always, guys, Thanks for joining me here, and I hope you will join me next month right here on Superior Disciple.